Hello. Everything has been said. Maybe there is no need for me to speak. Isn't that so, distinguished member of the press? Excuse me, member of the parliament.
Evet. Şimdi internetin önemini anlatmak esasında şu anda
It is going to be weird if I say internet is very important,
olmadığı zaman
because
halimiz ne olacak onu konuşmak.
I think we have to talk about what the situation will be if we do not have internet.
Bağımlı hale geldik. Bağımlılık
We have become addicts.
iyi bir şey de
Of course, being an addict to something good is okay, it's good, but what happens when you
ne devam ediyor?
switch off internet
Günlerde dönemeyiz.
or take off the plug? Life goes on, and you cannot go back to the old days. I have a 3-year-old grandchild,
O telefonları,
and
iPad'leri altın üstüne getiriyor.
he's very good at using the smartphones and iPads. I'm not as good as him. I don't know how he learned that.
Bunlar anaların karnında mı öğreniyor?
Do they learn it when they're still in the womb? I don't know.
Yani biz bu dönemi ucundan kıyısından yakalamış bir nesiliz.
We are a generation, I belong to a generation,
Üniversitede bize bilgisayar dersi vardı.
which managed to catch up with this development,
Orada biz
but at a very late stage. We had a course at university.
makineler gibi
It was called 4x4. We had
götürüp
big
teslim ediyoruz.
staple machinery,
Bir hafta sonra geldi.
and we used to
Bir hafta sonra geliyorsun.
dig holes to big scales of paper, and they were asking us to come back the next week. And of course, we used to find a lot of mistakes in typing. We used to find a lot of typos, and you had to correct the typos, and you had to restart everything. And the simple transaction we were trying to do was to multiply several numbers, etc. Of course, it would take years to make them by hand or just by using your mind to calculate. So we were using those big machines. And the machine uses the information or the data that you provide. The machine was not intelligent, but of course it didn't get tired. It was just following the orders. You can use the machine properly, you can use it as an arm, you can use it as treatment, you can use it as a poison as well. I think this is what makes the humankind different than the other species. And we have a great responsibility to use things correctly. It is obvious that internet has become indispensable. It's like a member of the family. We used to have core families, mother, father, and the children. Now we have internet as well, and we have to live with it. It's not something bad. It's something really good. It facilitates your life. It facilitates the things that you do. It improves your quality of life. We can learn new things quite quickly. If we have a question, if you're curious about something, we can find out about it almost immediately. That's really good, but of course, we have certain responsibilities against humanity as well. We have to use this opportunity in the best way possible, and we have to make sure that everyone has access to this opportunity. Distinguished President told about this. Turkey, in the last decade, has taken a lot of steps to become the leader of the information society, information world. 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, there was almost no internet in Turkey. We used to have dial-up connections. You used to dial a number, then you had weird sounds, just like the sounds coming from your stomach. And you were lucky if you were able to connect. But of course, things have changed. We have managed to improve things 15,000 times than 10 years before. What's the percentage of that? So, 1,500%. Of course, we're not going to be proud of this. We are proud, but it's very early to say that everything has been completed. We have to continue the development. Turkey has a very difficult geography. We have mountains. We have difficulties in transportation. We have difficulties in having access. In 1930s, Rıfat Pasha said, if you cannot reach a place, then that place is not yours. Ahmet Kutsi Tecer has been assigned as a teacher to a village, and the roads are blocked. He starts crying because he cannot reach the village that he's going to teach. And he started writing that famous poem. There's a village over there. Even if we cannot go there, even if we cannot come from there, that village is still our village. Those were the days, but now we are able to reach every corner of the country. Now we are turning or becoming a Turkey which has access. We had managed to develop our transportation. Now we are also having internet access. In a remote village in Hakkari, in the far east of Turkey, children are using broadband connection to listen to music or to learn about things that are going on in the world. There was the US elections, and everyone was curious about who was going to win. Was it going to be Obama or Romney? My grandchild, the little one, she never shuts up. She never stops demanding things, even late at night. And of course, she keeps me busy. I cannot do anything during evening time. And my daughter at 3 a.m. came and said, "Daddy, it's Obama who won," because it was the only quiet time. I had some time to learn about things. Everyone is curious about what is going on in the rest of the world. It's not only the statesmen or reporters anymore. Even the ordinary citizen wants to have access to information. This is amazing, and I think this brings forward global brotherhood. This means peace. This means that people are getting closer to one another wherever they are in the world, and they mingle wherever they are in the world. There are 7 billion people who live on this planet, but not every one of them has this opportunity. Only some benefit from these opportunities. There are 2 billion people who do not have phones. I'm not talking about internet. I think the situation is worse when it comes to internet. Only 1/3 of the world population has internet connection. So there is a quantity gap. We have to focus on these quantity gaps. I think this is a responsibility for the countries as well. So this is a need for everyone. So the service should be disseminated to everyone and should not be a privilege for certain people. So as Turkey, we became aware of this fact at a very early stage. We were liberalizing, we were privatizing the telecommunication sector, and during this stage we also called for the companies to have some universal responsibilities. It used to be the state who connected phones or lines to households, and they were providing maintenance and repair services. The state brought phone lines to every village. So the company who takes over these services should maintain those services as well. That's why we prepared the legislation, and the citizens will continue to receive same services from the companies. They publish some indices. What's it called? Information development or rate of development in the area of telecommunications or information. Such indexes are published in the area of telecommunications as well. But Turkey used to have a better ranking in 2002 compared to 2012. So all those efforts, were they in vain? We have broadband connection, we have fixed lines and mobile lines everywhere in the world. You do all these efforts, you exert all these efforts, and you should be going up in the ranking, but you go down. What does that mean? So I asked my colleagues to look for the reasons why, and they found out that there are many different factors, not only the factors related to communication. There are social, economic, and cultural factors as well, taken as a criteria, and these reports use information from various years, like 2001, 2003, but these are not updated information, and if they do not have the information, they say not available, NA, and they come up with some figures. Of course, figures mean something, figures tell something, but I think the reality is more important than figures. If someone at the Silicon Valley does not have coverage, mobile coverage, then having all that infrastructure, having all that technology does not mean anything. Why don't they have phone coverage? Because there's a lot of traffic. They have the infrastructure, but traffic has grown enormously, and the infrastructure is not sufficient to cater for all that traffic. So that's a sign. As a government, we have constructed divided highways, for instance, but we never say that, okay, we have finished the construction, so everything is complete. No. You have to maintain the roads as well. And you must have noticed in the last Bayram holiday, some of the roads were not sufficient. When I started to work in this position, there were 8 million cars. Now we have 16.5 million cars every day on traffic. If it weren't for the divided roads that we constructed, then we would have a lot of traffic jams. Same goes for internet. But we are, I think, lucky when it comes to internet, because having an internet infrastructure does not require a lot of costly infrastructure. It's not like building a motorway by digging the mountains, etc. Your costs are lower and things are easier. The president underlined very important facts. The most important thing for us now is to develop communication motorways. We have to do that because there is increasing traffic, and if you want to cater for the increasing traffic, then you have to start immediately, because if you are late, then you will have serious problems. That's why we have a certain policy, a policy related to infrastructure. Whoever invests in infrastructure will be welcome. We will support everyone. But of course, there are certain conditions. There shouldn't be any repetitions. There shouldn't be any waste of resources. The investments should not be contradictory. We should not be jealous of one another. We should hold hand in hand, and we should build all those communication motorways together. And you should show your difference with the content that you put into that motorway. We have a famous saying. According to our belief, we do not attach great importance to the mundane world. We call this world a world of lies, because we're going to die anyway, and the real world will begin. In addition to the world of lies, there is the other kind of life as well. It's digital life, virtual life. And the virtual life has become indispensable, not only for the educated people, but also for the people who are working as shepherds in the mountains as well. Because virtual infrastructures have reached everywhere. One cannot say that I'm too old now, I don't want to get involved with this internet stuff. No one can say that. Everyone has to learn. From the crib to the grave. The children have to learn it, and the grandparents have to learn it as well. So, this is the important step to be taken to create a society of information which involves everyone. That's why we started social responsibility projects in the area of education and for the handicapped as well. And then our aim is to disseminate all these efforts to the rest of the society. This is the secret behind all the developments in the past decade. The younger generation is capable of grasping and learning things quite quickly. They will learn first, and they will teach us, the older generation, later. And Turkey is moving with very important steps in the way to become a leader, world leader, when it comes to information societies. Google is an international and worldwide search engine, a very important one, and they set up this tent in Istanbul, and they have created this opportunity environment to discuss on various aspects of internet. They have invited experts to talk about the developments, and there will be a exchange of information. We are going to update our information, knowledge. We are going to regenerate our minds. It's a very good global meeting, and it also fits the subject, because internet is something global, and here we're having a global event. And we are very proud and happy to be hosting this event in Istanbul. It is very important for us, because in the past decade, in the area of information and communication, Turkey has taken a lot of steps, and we are now collecting the fruits in the region, in the Middle East, in the Caucasus, in the Balkans. Turkey is now the leader and an opinion leader, actually, in the area of communication and information technologies.
Şimdi birkaç sözle bu
Dear friends,
işlerle ilgili faaliyet gösterenler için
now I would
birkaç
like to
önerimiz var, birkaç söyleyecek
bring
sözümüz
forward
var.
several recommendations for those
Burada
of you
çok keskin
who are
yazmışlar
involved
ama
in this
zaten
process.
başkan onları söyledi.
Our president
Ben o
already
kadar
talked about certain
teferruata girecek değilim.
information, data. I'm not going to go into
Javier Zapatero
detail. Was it Javier Zapatero? Those who are clever will get it quickly, so you must have got it as well from the president's speech.
Şimdi
I'm just going to bring forward
bu
some
arama
recommendations.
motoru diyoruz. Arama motoru diye biliniyor bunlar.
Search
Yani her
engines.
şeyi arıyor.
You can look up anything on a search engine.
Ama bunlar bir tek vergi dairesini aramıyor.
But the only thing that you cannot look up is the tax office. That's the only difference.
Ara sıra vergi dairesini de arayalım.
I think you should also type the word tax office in the search engine to provide a full service.
Bir.
That's number one.
İkincisi
The second recommendation is
yerelleşme.
localization.
Bakın yakışmıyor. Çok küçük
Well,
ülkelerde
Even in the smallest
yerelleşmeye
countries,
çok daha fazla önem
you
veriyorsunuz.
pay attention to get localized, but when it comes to Turkey,
Etki alanı büyük,
a prominent country with a big area of influence,
potansiyeli de çok yüksek
a country which is very big and with a large
daha
potential,
mütevazi
you
davranıyorsunuz. Daha tutucu
are
davranıyorsunuz.
more modest.
Biz bu düşüncenin değişmesini
We want you to, we expect you to
Son
change this
zamanlarda bu yönde
idea, mentality.
olumlu
In the recent
gelişmeler
times,
olduğunu da bu arada
there
ifade
have been
edeyim.
some positive developments in this area.
Bir takım
We are all aware of that.
olaylardan sonra YouTube'un
After certain
görülür hale gelmesi iyi bir adımdır.
events,
Ama bunun devamını
YouTube
getirmemiz
became
lazım. Hanımefendi bu konuları
more
iyi
visible
bilir.
in Turkey,
Epey mesai harcadı, gayret etti. İyi bir noktaya geldik.
and we have come to
İyi bir
an
başlangıç
important
olabilir Türkiye
stage
açısından.
when it comes to YouTube. I think this can be a good beginning for Turkey, and from now on, we are waiting for your efforts as well. There's a big fight going on in the world. Who belongs to internet? And there's a cliche motto. People shout on the streets, I'm not going to give my internet or pass over my internet. Internet doesn't belong to anyone. If people try to own things in the world, then we wouldn't have an easy life in the world. Of course, there is someone who invented electricity, but he doesn't own electricity. He did that for the humanity. So why do we fight about internet then? Because there is suspicion. Everyone is now suspicious about who monitors their transactions. As long as we have that suspicion, we will continue to fight.
Uluslararası camia, ülkeler bir araya gelecek.
The countries should come together
alandaki
at an international platform
şüpheleri ortadan
should
kaldırmak için bir
take
gayret gösterecek.
steps to remove all those suspicions.
İnsanlar interneti özgürlük olarak tanımlıyoruz.
People or we define internet as freedom, but
Tehdit eden bir noktaya gelmesi
if the freedom of people are in danger, then it's the beginning of a big disaster.
bu noktada da biz diyoruz ki
That's why
internetin kime ait olduğunu, kimin bulduğunu tartışmak yerine
instead of discussing or fighting about who owns internet or who has found internet,
insanlığın
we should, I think, try to look for ways to use internet properly for the greater good
iyi olması için
and to have a better future.
yerli yerinde kullanılması. Burada da
And
bir ülkenin
the countries can be very careful in fulfilling their obligations, responsibilities, but internet does not have any borders. You cannot follow where the information comes from or where it leads. You look left, and the information flows from right. So this being the case, I think we need an international tent or an umbrella organization to regulate this field. There are some preparations and some conventions. We became a party to the European Council's Cybercrimes Convention. Of course, this is not enough. Everyone should become a member, and everyone should be involved in such efforts. We are trying to unite the world. We're trying to promote world peace and solidarity. But in some countries, for instance, people say that, no, we will have our own internet. And another country says that, no, we'll have our own internet. And the country who claims that they own internet say that no matter where you go, you're not going to have access to internet because we're not going to give our internet. This is not the solution. This will bring further polarization. Now is the time for sharing of information. You should not hide the information. And when it comes to sharing the disadvantages and advantages, again, some things need to be done. Someone is constructing communication motorways, and other people want to benefit from these motorways, and they start driving really fast on those ways. But the people who constructed those motorways also should be paid for their efforts. Nothing is free. I think the content providers or those working on content should also share the burden. Should not only be benefiting from the opportunities provided by certain people. But of course, if it's only the user who pays, then it's not fair again. I think there should be an equal distribution of costs and burdens. Our country, our people, our citizens have certain sensitivities. We have some local values, and I think Google should pay more attention to these local values if they want to have a long-lasting existence in this country. I think if they want a long-lasting existence, they should change certain policies. Turkish people have such expectations, and as I said earlier, some important steps have been taken, and I think we should also continue with those steps, and I'm sure if we take those steps, we will come to reach our objectives very quickly. So, as a conclusion, I hope this big tent event will contribute to all the entrepreneurs and to those of you who are involved in these processes. We have guests from Turkey and from the other countries who are here to contribute with their opinions and academic ideas. Thank you very much for being here. It's needless to say that their opinions, their contributions will shed light to our path.
Politika belirleyenler,
We as
bu işin
policymakers
altyapısından sorumlu olan
and
kurumlar olarak
we as the institutions who are in charge of laying the infrastructure in this area are very
bakın Türkiye
curious
dünyanın
about your
en büyük
opinions and we will
bilişim
follow
projesini
your
var.
ideas. Turkey has
Milyar dolarlık
initiated
ATİK projesi.
world's
Proje
biggest
bizim için bir
IT
fırsat
project.
olabilir.
It's called Fatih project and it's worth $1 billion. I think this can be an opportunity for you. And we have all kinds of sources and incentives. You can make big investments in Turkey and you can be supported by the state. And the investments that you're going to make in Turkey will not be only for Turkey. 1.5 billion people live in the proximity of Turkey. There's an annual monetary traffic worth which worth $25 billion. So investing in Turkey in those areas would be very beneficial for you too. Please take that into consideration. Thank you very much. I hope